fiction, 100% imagined. But this woman exists. So. All because he didn't want to fly. You'd think a 10-year-old would love planes. The way they pop your ears, I said. It's the best. He rolled his eyes and went upstairs. Later, he told me if I made him get on a plane, he'd run away. You'll love Seattle, I told him at the station. It's like Minneapolis, but there's mountains. He didn't look up, and when I tapped him on the shoulder, he pulled his headphones out of one ear and gave me that "what do you want" look. The bus pulled up right then, and I told him to hurry, even though he wouldn't leave for another half hour. He noticed her first, across the aisle. "Mom," he was saying, doing that thing where he kicks my leg. "Mom, look." She was old, or she looked old. Her lips weren't moving, but you could hear her mumbling. There was an apple in her hand, and every few seconds she'd turn toward the window like she was going to go to sleep. She'd pop something in her mouth and turn back to the front as she chewed. "She's got a knife," he whispered, if you could call it a whisper. He wasn't lying. It was a little paring knife she tried to hide up the sleeve of her fur coat. You could see it wink when across the pothole. "What weirdo," he said. It was even less of a whisper than before, and she looked right at us. We both turned away, and he pointed out our window and said something about an old barn, but we weren't fooling anyone. Even in North Dakota, it was hard to fall asleep. You could hear her sitting over there. "I told you," she kept saying. "I told you how many times. I told you, but you don't listen." After the sun went down, he leaned against me. Somewhere outside Jamestown, he tried to crawl into my lap, but I wouldn't let him. After Bismarck, I let him, and she was still saying it. "I told you. I told you." It wasn't until the next morning, a few hours into Montana, that I got worried. Something was wrong with the interstate, the driver said, and in some place called Forsyth, we branched off onto a state highway. This was the part in movies where something always went wrong, passing towns like Musselshell and Roundup. We both must have thought the same thing. He kept asking me to rub his hands. The part between his finger and his thumb always got sore, from playing those stupid games, I told him. And he'd hold them in my lap while I pinched the strange lumpy muscle. Sometimes he just asked, so I'd touch him. "Stop staring," I told him. But after a while, I was staring too. She ate nothing but apples, slicing off these chip-sized pieces one at a time. You couldn't not think of the apocalypse. Literally, nothing in every direction, the grass yellow into sleep. The sky was big like they say, but it just made more room for clouds. If it would have been sunny, the whole trip might have been okay. I don't know where we were when he said it. "What's wrong with you?" he asked her. If you weren't holding his hand, you'd have no idea he was terrified. She took one more slice out of the apple and held it up for him. She turned it sideways to show how thin it was. At that, he turned and buried his face in my shoulder, and he couldn't see the way she frowned and chewed on her lip, the way she looked down at the slice, like she too had to second guess its worth. She didn't eat the rest. We still hadn't seen the mountains when she got up and walked to the front. Nobody heard what she said to the driver. When he pulled over, people got how people get. The sleeping woke up, and the silent whispered to each other. The old man in the front seat asked the driver what was the big idea. The lady with the apples didn't have much luggage, only a canvas bag she wore on her shoulder like a purse. Everything was in there, you could tell. It looked heavy as she walked off into the field. You really had to ask yourself if the world had ended, nothing left of us but barbed wire. "I'll bet the bag's full of apples," he whispered in my ear as we watched her get small. And the way he laughed made me want to strangle him. You'll love Seattle, I thought. I'd been so hopeful, like you could love anything.